people talk about success, one question comes up again and again. Are introverts or extroverts more likely to come out on top? It's a debate that touches everything from leadership and careers to relationships and personal growth. Some people believe extroverts dominate because they're outgoing, charismatic, and naturally comfortable in social situations. Others argue introverts have the edge because they're reflective, focused, and often better at deep thinking. But the truth may not be as simple as choosing one over the other. In this video, we'll explore the personality spectrum, break down the core differences, and look at what research says about who actually performs better in leadership, sales, and the workplace. By the end, you may discover that the real winner isn't who you expect. First, it's important to understand that introversion and extroversion are not opposites in the way many people think. Being introverted doesn't automatically mean someone is shy, and being extroverted doesn't simply mean being loud. At the core, these traits describe how people gain and spend energy. An introvert often recharges through solitude. Quiet time helps them reset, think clearly, and process experiences. They may prefer to reflect before speaking and often thrive in calm, low-stimulation environments. An extrovert, on the other hand, gains energy from interaction. Social settings, group discussions, and external stimulation often make them feel more alive. They tend to think out loud and process ideas through conversation. Then there's a middle ground, the ambivert. Ambivert, this is where many people actually fall. Ambiverts can shift between introverted and extroverted tendencies, depending on the situation. The key point, this isn't about which personality is better. It's about how differently people engage with the world. The differences between introverts and extroverts become most visible in everyday action. Imagine a meeting at work. An introvert may stay quiet at first, observing the room, analyzing the discussion, and only speaking when they formed a clear idea. Their strength often lies in thoughtful contributions rather than frequent ones. An extrovert may jump in quickly, bouncing ideas off others, energizing the conversation, and shaping the discussion in real time. Their strength is often momentum and collaboration. Neither approach is inherently superior. Introverts tend to excel in environments that reward concentration, independent thinking, and careful analysis. Extroverts often shine where communication, networking, and rapid decision-making matter most. This is why personality alone doesn't determine success. Context plays a huge role. Leadership is one of the most fascinating places where this debate plays out. For a long time, society has associated strong leadership with extroverted traits: confidence, public speaking, charisma, and the ability to command a room. And in many cases, extroverts do excel as leaders. They inspire teams with visible energy, motivate people through enthusiasm, and often rally groups around a shared vision. But research tells a more nuanced story. A study by organizational psychologist Adam Grant and colleagues found that introverted leaders can actually outperform extroverted leaders in certain settings, especially when leading proactive teams. Why? Because introverted leaders tend to listen more carefully. They are often more receptive to employee ideas and less likely to dominate discussions. This allows proactive workers to contribute more freely, which can boost overall productivity. Extroverted leaders, while energetic, may unintentionally suppress initiative if they're too quick to impose their own ideas. So, who wins in leadership? The answer depends on the team being led. In the workplace, personality often shapes what people naturally prioritize. Introverts usually excel in tasks that require deep focus. They often pay closer attention to details, catch subtle mistakes, and maintain concentration over long periods. This makes them valuable in roles involving analysis, strategy, research, and careful planning. Extroverts, meanwhile, often thrive in the social dimension of work. They're frequently strong at networking, building relationships, creating momentum, and bringing people together. They can energize a team and often excel in external-facing roles. One study even suggested that extroverted managers were more likely to overlook critical details in reports compared to their introverted counterparts. That doesn't mean extroverts are careless. It simply highlights that social strengths sometimes come at the expense of detail-oriented focus. In many organizations, the real success comes from balancing both traits. If there's one field where people assume extroverts dominate, it's sales. After all, selling seems to require confidence, persuasion, and constant interaction. But surprisingly, research found that the top performers weren't extreme extroverts or they were ambiverts. In a study involving 340 call center employees, ambiverts generated significantly higher hourly revenue than either introverts or extroverts because ambiverts combine the strengths of both ends of the spectrum. They can listen carefully, like introverts, understanding customer needs without overwhelming them. And they can also step forward confidently, like extroverts, when it's time to persuade and close the deal. This adaptability gives them a unique advantage. The lesson here is powerful. The most successful people are often not the most extreme. They're the most flexible. Success isn't just about talent. It's also about how society perceives personality. In many workplaces, extroverted behavior is often rewarded more visibly. People who speak confidently in meetings, promote themselves, and project enthusiasm may be perceived as more competent, even when actual performance is similar. This creates what some researchers call the introvert pay gap. Introverts may negotiate salaries less aggressively, ability, self-promotion, and be overlooked for leadership roles simply because they are less visible. This isn't a reflection of lower ability. It's often a reflection of social bias. Organizations frequently associate leadership potential with traits like assertiveness and talkativeness, which align more closely with extroversion. As a result, quieter individuals may have to work harder to get the same recognition. The gap is not about capability. It's about perception. So after all the comparisons, who wins? The introvert, the extrovert, or the ambivert? The answer is none of them and all of them. Introverts win in situations that demand deep focus, careful listening, and strategic thinking. Extroverts win when success depends on energy, networking, influence, and inspiring others. Ambiverts often thrive because they can adapt between both worlds, shifting based on what the moment requires. The most successful people are not necessarily the loudest in the room, and they're not always the quietest either. Success comes from understanding your natural strengths and placing yourself in environments where those strengths matter most. In the end, it's not about changing who you are. It's about knowing where you thrive. And that may be the most interesting answer of all.